Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us once again here on Health Professional Radio. We'll be speaking with Aetion Chief Science Officer Nicolle Gatto, joining us to share how the organization leverages real-world evidence to support research and development activities as well as regulatory decisions to inform healthcare's most critical decisions. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. Nicolle Gatto, thank you so much.
Hi, Neil. Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a bit about yourself and your role at Aetion.
Sure. I am an epidemiologist. Prior to Aetion, I spent over 20 years at Pfizer. And in that role, I was the group head for Vaccines and Oncology in the Epidemiology Group, which was a group that was under our regulatory organization. So a lot of the work that we did was regulatory facing. In that role, I provided strategic leadership. I served as a consultant on design of studies like pragmatic trials and provided expertise on methods-related epidemiologic issues, and also oversaw a team of epidemiologists who worked across the portfolio and provided comprehensive epidemiology strategies to both contextualize and examine the safety and effectiveness of medicines. I've been at Aetion Chief Science Officer. I have a number of responsibilities, and these include serving as the senior internal scientific voice and advisor to ensure that we are using principled real-world data and methods across the organization. I lead a team of epidemiologists and biostatisticians who deliver epidemiology and biostatistics, as well as real-world evidence strategy. They provide methods and best practices across the organization and also implement studies that we conduct on behalf of our key stakeholders like the FDA. I have an externally facing role, which is to design and communicate scientific frameworks and standards, and I collaborate with stakeholders globally. So overall, I'm responsible for growing Aetion's position as a scientific thought leader by advancing the science of our software, technology products, real-world evidence methods, and providing strategies for real-world evidence use in clinical development and supporting regulatory decisions.
Your company is a women-led health tech company. Can you expand a bit on Aetion?
Yes, we have a female CEO and a number of women on our leadership team. In short, Aetion is a healthcare analytics company. We deliver real-world evidence for biopharma and medical device manufacturers, purchasers, and regulators. We have software and provide services that allow our users to do a number of things, including a quick exploration of real-world data or to generate regulatory-grade real-world evidence, or to apply generative AI to predict trial results, help design trials, and also to create secure synthetic health data from existing healthcare data assets, and that's with the goal of protecting privacy. We're often asked about our name, so Aetion is adapted from the Greek word for causality, and this really reflects our deep roots in the science of using real-world data to draw causal conclusions. And in fact, Aetion was founded by two pharmacoepidemiologists from Harvard Medical School.
We hear quite a bit about real-world evidence, real-world data. For those who may not be familiar, what is real-world evidence?
This is important to sort of get everyone on the same page. I like FDA's definition that they used first in their 2018 framework on real-world evidence, and their definition is it's clinical evidence about the usage and potential benefits or risks. Clinical evidence about the usage and potential benefits or risks of a medical product that are derived from the analysis of real-world data, which are data that relates to patient health status or the delivery of health care routinely collected from things like electronic health records, insurance claims, patient registries. It can come from medical devices or patient-reported outcomes and other sources.
Does it drastically change the research support and development activities and regulatory decisions?
It does. For almost a decade now, Aetion's been a leading partner for biopharma and other life sciences organizations. And, I've mentioned some of this, but we support research and development activities, provide data that helps support regulatory decisions. And this really is across the entire medical product life cycle. So, it's, just as a couple of examples, real-world evidence can be used to establish the burden of a disease either on patients or on public health, which is really important for some regulatory pathways. So if someone wanted to apply for an expedited regulatory program so that their clinical development program could go through development and decision-making by regulators in a faster pace, then often you need to establish that burden of disease, and real-world data and evidence is really the way to do that. And it also provides critical information to help provide context for, let's say safety imbalances that you may see in a clinical trial, and to better understand if those are within the realm of expectation or something to be concerned about. And sometimes can provide, the evidence of effectiveness that a medicine is approved based on. So, ultimately, all of this kind of information goes into that totality of evidence that a decision maker considers. And so, for instance, an FDA reviewer trying to decide whether to approve or not approve a product might be looking at real-world data and evidence in several different places in an application. In the last few years, we've published a few frameworks that were designed to advance the field of real-world evidence and help people make decisions. So one of those is we refer to as the SURF framework, and this is a screening tool to support effective use of real-world evidence for FDA applications. And it helps a sponsor decide whether it makes sense to further explore using real-world data to meet the regulatory effectiveness evidentiary standards for a particular program. And that's something that we developed based on our analysis of many FDA guidance documents, our learnings from reviewing publicly available use cases where FDA has released their review of an application for an approved product that included real-world data evidence, and also our own experience working for and within industry for many years. And just another example is a framework we call SPIFT-2, and that's a structured process that helps the user in a step-by-step way design fit-for-purpose studies and identify fit-for-purpose data so that ultimately the evidence that comes out of it is of the quality necessary to support regulatory decisions.
It's all about quality of life. How easy is it to gauge how your company using real-world evidence is positively impacting patients' lives as opposed to just supporting regulatory decisions and research development activities?
Yeah, this is a really important question. Our products and services help our clients and their stakeholders make decisions, but what we aim to do is enable them to make faster and more data-driven decisions. And ultimately, this helps ensure that safe and effective medicines are being delivered to patients and also being done at a faster pace. So, this high-quality decision-grade data, having that in your hand at the moment you need to make an important decision helps speed development, and that ultimately helps us positively impact patient lives and deliver on Aetion's true north, which is a world in which we know what health treatments work for whom and what we should pay for them.
Nicolle, give us some information where our listeners can learn more about Aetion.
Sure. Listeners can visit Aetion.com to learn more about our products and services, our science, and also for the opportunity to connect, we would be happy to provide more information or have a conversation.
And that's Aetion.com, correct?
It is, yeah.
Nicolle, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Health Professional Radio, hoping that you'll return sometime.
I would love to. Thanks so much for having me, Neil.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Nicolle Gatto. Audio copies of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au, also at Anchor, Spotify, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Health Professional Radio.